I've just hooked up the trailer on this cold winter's day as I'm about to take a bit of a road trip down to Southampton to pick up what I consider to be a really special Jaguar. It's a bit of a unicorn car. It's an X300 XJR with the manual gearbox, and I'm told it's the first one ever produced. Clive.
Hello. Hi,
Good to
Graham.
meet you.
Good to see you.
Right, I understand you are a serial owner of X300s, right? And if I'm not incorrect, this is your 23rd?
It is yes, over 14 years.
Including 5 XJRs in that?
Yes, 2 manual XJRs, 3 autos, 2 manual 3.2 sports, a manual 4-litre sport,
right,
an exec, 3 Daimler 6s, you name it. Yeah.
I've got to ask, why X300? What was it about X300 that kind of is really...
Well, I'm not the shortest of people, so I had Volkswagens forever. So GTIs, I used to National Hill climb them.
Right.
I had a Corrado, things like that. And then I got to the point where doing journeys up to see friends in Yorkshire, I'd get out.
Bad back, okay.
And I'd always seen Jags go by me at lights, and I liked the shape. And I bought a 3.2 exec and just sat there going, why didn't I buy one of these years ago? Because they were so cheap as well. Yeah. And I loved it. It was just such a nice drive.
Right.
But doing the racing and other bits in the past, it was like, it doesn't go very quick though, does it? A 3.2 exec. So I then literally stumbled across this 4-litre sport manual. Yeah. Which obviously is a lot quicker. Yeah. Really enjoyed that. Then I bought the XJR manual locally, which had 230,000 miles on it. Right. But it was fine. And drove that, and then joined the club, JC, started going to some rallies, bits and bobs.
The X300 version of XJ was the shortest lived in the 51-year production history of the car. Here's a quick explanation of where it sits in the timeline. The first generation was launched in 1968, with the Series 1, 2 and 3 versions covering the first 18 years until the second generation started with XJ40 in 1986. Ford bought Jaguar in 1989, and X300 was a stopgap model based on XJ40 while the V8 engine was developed for X308 in 1997. The third generation all-aluminium X350 arrived in 2003, and the final X351 version came out in 2010, and production finished in 2019, 51 years after the Series 1. So it's this one here I'm interested in, halfway through the XJ story. In production for 4 years with 3.2 and 4 litre naturally aspirated engines, and Jaguar's second ever boosted engine after the XJ220, the 4 litre supercharged XJR. Most XJRs came with an automatic gearbox, but just 102 right-hand drive manuals were built. Back to Clive with the very first one.
Yeah, I am known for modifying them and not keeping them standard, which annoys the hell out of some people. But
yeah, okay. Well, Clive sent me some pictures, and I'll put some of them in here because you really have kind of done some different things to your X300.
Yeah, but I suppose the thing I've done, it's always been Jag parts.
Yes.
So if I've put bigger wheels on, they were either off XKRs or 308s.
Because the observant will notice that it's not on its original wheels.
No, they're on the standard sport dimple wheels.
Yeah. So I'm planning to get it back on its original rims at some point, but you had some later kind of split rims, the kind of gold spokes.
Yeah, I had 19-inch Montreals on there. Right. So from the XJR 308 later, and had them refurbished in the original Oyster Gold. And I did have large brakes on this, right, which are now on my auto. So
right, okay.
Sorry about that. But
no, that's all right. That's all right. But this car is a bit of a special one, isn't it? So.
Yeah, so this is, from what Andy Stoddard, Bob Jenner, myself and all the other people we've checked out, is #1 of the production cars of the 102 right-hand drive manual XJRs. And I got it, 7 years ago, and I stumbled across it, and I recognised it by the number plate, because I knew that in general FVC was a Jaguar car. Yeah. And Pete Higson is another gentleman who owns these, and he's got a pre-production. Yeah. And that was 64 FVC. So I thought, well, hang on, 48 then, maybe this is pre-production as well. Yeah. But yeah, through the research, we think, no, it's #1. It was owned by Jaguar for 9 months or so before it went to the market. But then, yeah, I didn't keep it standard, so it went to Swallows, and it's had a single mass light flywheel put on it.
Yeah.
With the Helix clutch. Some work on, I had the brakes uprated then, but again, I put on standard R1 208 calipers.
Yeah.
But it had Tarox discs, etc.
Okay.
And then the standard Andy bracket, which most people do.
Yes.
And then the larger supercharger lower pulley. So yeah, it does go.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to getting to know it. Here it is then, back home and safe, and I've given it a good clean. The weather was absolutely awful last weekend, so it was filthy, so it's taken a bit of time to clean this up. But doing that, it's allowed me to really see what I've actually got. Now, I bought this car off Clive for £4,500. It's not perfect, and it's not quite in its original state, but let's do a walk around and see what I've got. Now, the flanks of this car are really good. Down the driver's side here, there's absolutely nothing I can see in terms of car parking bumps and scrapes, which is great. There's a bit of rust going on at the bottom of this front wing. That needs sorting. Of course, the wheels aren't original as mentioned, but I've been in touch with Simply Performance and they've got a set that I can buy off them and get refurbished. So I come down to the back here, bottom of the wing. There's some corrosion around this area, and there's exactly the same around the other side. But other than that, it's really, really nice. It needs a bit of a machine polish, but I can do that later. And there's that area of rust again behind the wheel arch on the rear. Now, it shouldn't have this green coach line. It should be a single red coach line. For some reason, somebody's also put another pair on here with line tape. So that should make them quite easy to get off with a toffee wheel. But again, as I look down the shiny flanks of this car, it's really quite straight. So the gaps are pretty good around the door shuts. It's a non-sunroof model. If I remember correctly, September 28th, 1994 this car was registered. And there we have VIN number 223, which was the first right-hand drive manual car off the production line. Opening up the door, so we've got a black on black, so it's black half leather interior, which is standard fit. One of the things I've learned about these X300s that's really weird, the first load of cars didn't have a glove box, so they'd be developing the passenger airbag, and there's no glove box here. For a car this size, that's absolutely hilarious, but not the most practical. So coming through the centre here, so much more XJ40 like than the later X308. You can see inside here we've got a center console storage box with slots for cassettes, original cassette player, and then through to the steering wheel with XJR embossed on it. So here we are under bonnet with the AJ16 supercharged engine. So we've got the supercharger and intercooler and intake over that end. The engine is tilted over at an angle, and then here we've got a very nice custom exhaust manifold. So Clive has done a really nice job getting this upgraded, and it has a custom exhaust fitted to it too. So absolutely fantastic. So that means it's something I don't have to do. Clive has also had the larger supercharger pulley fitted to it. So this will be above standard performance, significantly higher torque. And beyond that, we've also got the Andy bracket, which is the one that advances the timing 5 degrees. So it's got all of the tick box mods you would put on one of these. So in all, really, it's a bit of a lovely thing. I think it's going to look so much better once it's got the right wheels on. I have to say, I think I've done all right. I haven't got an MOT on it yet, so that could be a headache. But so far, it seems to run right. There aren't any warning lights on. Let's take it for a quick drive, because this is a private road, and see how I get on. Now, Clive told me that the throttle's quite sticky on this car, so I need to get it out and just give it a good clean. I can't go very far because it doesn't have an MOT yet, so I've only got this short lane. But let's get some first impressions. So a bit of a supercharger whine coming from the front, and there's certainly some exhaust presence going on. It doesn't seem too boomy, but it certainly gives a feeling of intent. Hilarious. The gear stick is bobbling up and down, just like Chris Harris's XJS manual. So obviously that was a thing with the gearbox mount, just giving that rubberized coupling so that the gear stick waves around. Crikey, this thing's quite quick. Outrageous. Now they say that the manual just helps liberate the performance of this engine. And to be honest, even in that short drive, I can just feel it. Let's turn around and head back down again, because I'm not allowed on the road yet. Okay, first gear. And that's not wide open throttle. Second, full on. Crikey. Okay. Now that was downhill, but even so, this thing is properly quick. You have to be quite measured with your gear shifting, that's for sure. It isn't a really slick, lightweight, accurate feel. It's quite slow and bulky, but as long as you're kind of careful and deliberate with it, you should be all right. Now, I'm told the gear knob itself is really quite heavy, so if you actually unscrew it, it's a solid piece of steel, and that's to help manage the load so that you actually get some kind of assistance from simply the momentum of the weight of the gear knob. You can really feel it's got some go, this, and it's so nice to be sitting in a Jag where I've got the direct link, the mechanical link through the gearbox to the tyres. So used to driving automatic Jags that just don't have that. Third gear, full on. Oh, bit juddery. Off we go. Oh, it's strong. Well, this has got the prospect to be an absolutely lovely car. I think it doesn't need too much work, and I can already sense the fact that it's going to be quite thrilling to drive on the road. Well, next time I need to get this car up in the air, give it a thorough mechanical check over, give it a service, and get it through an MOT. So please join me again to see what happens next with this car.